boy SKANDOUZ, the hip hop original, alongside the one and only
Tom Foolery Beats.
And this is what we call the head-to-head season 2 kind of wrap-up session, where we're just, giving you guys a bit of insight on the interviews from season 2, and Tom's going to provide some of his thoughts on some of the interviews, and we're just going to roll through and give you guys a bit of insider baseball, they say, some insight. And so feel free to make sure you guys that are watching get involved, put some of your feedback in the comments section. Remember to like and subscribe. I'm kind of new to the YouTube game, so I should really be saying that more, to be fair. But yeah, Tom, congratulations. It was again, it's a successful series, and we're definitely onwards and upwards this time round, And I think we opened the season with Bronze Nazareth, the Wu-Tang affiliate producer, man. That catalogue,
Big name.
Yeah.
And it was a great interview as well, man.
Definitely big up the guys at Steaming Kettle for making that happen as well. He was promoting.
You see his studio and that in the background. It's like, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And he talks on, how it's his, it's his living. So he does it like a full-time job. He really puts in the hours. And it pays off, of course. He makes it work.
Love the insight where he was he's speaking about the first time he met the RZA, and having to fight just to get him to hear his beats.
That was mad.
Yeah.
Mad. RZA was just gonna he waited around all day, just for RZA to come into the studio for 2 minutes, grab something and leave.
Yeah.
And he was just like, "Yo, I gotta say something."
I should have probably took a page out of his book a couple nights ago, man. I was trying to get a vinyl signed by J Electronica, and I saw him at the start, and he was like, "Yeah, man, catch me after the show, I'll sign your vinyl." And so literally immediately, as soon as he came off stage, we was there with our vinyls to get it signed. And then we went backstage, and it was like, he's just ducked out the fire exit. So it never happened, so there you go. So that's a note to.
And you've been there
for the whole
in the
gig
crowd with a vinyl.
In your mind, thinking to yourself, that's cool, he's gonna sign it after, it's gonna be great. Just kidding.
Yeah, it's quite a commitment, bringing your vinyl and
that. Man. So for the vinyl heads and the vinyl collectors, the struggle is real.
But worth it when you get them.
Sure. But when they do sign it, amazing, incredible.
Yeah, and then,
Yeah, but it was definitely, man, it was definitely an unexpected pleasure to interview Bronze Nazareth, man. And also, whilst researching for the interview, going back and listening to some of the albums, some that I'd heard before but really didn't fully pay attention to, the one he did with Crooked Eye, brilliant album. Done a great album with Cannabis as well. So
I was feeling the instrumentals one, man.
Yeah. Some incredible
instrumentals.
Yeah. Some incredible instrumentals.
2006 or something.
Wow.
But yeah, I totally missed it when it came out, of course.
Yeah.
There is so much hip hop out. It's so easy.
More than there is hours in a day. So and also we followed that interview up with Wordsworth. He was interview number 2.
That was interesting because of the amount of TV he's done. And things like that. It's like I didn't even know he did TV.
Yeah.
And it's obviously a big part of his career.
Yeah, and that took me by surprise as well, because me and my younger brother were very big Wordsworth fans back in the day, and big fans of the original Raucous, the Lyricist Lounge, the TV show that was on MTV. And it's interesting because whilst researching for that, I thought I knew everything about Wordsworth. And it wasn't until he started getting into his book that he released, and him being a teacher and his thoughts on the education system, and then all the stuff he was doing with oh God, the producer from Prince Paul, all the stuff he continues to do with Prince Paul, and the fact that he had a
check that out. Dexter's Lab.
Yeah.
The cartoon like hip hop CD. That's mad. I checked it out as well, man.
Yeah.
Got some wicked names on it as well.
Wow.
It's like, you know, Cartoon Network or something just released an absolutely dope underground hip hop album. How about that?
And the fact that he's got a track on Bob SquarePants, like the film, like it's like what?
Yeah.
You know?
Mad.
Really?
Yeah, and it's not even whack.
No.
You know?
So it just goes to show you, man. There's so many avenues for.
Really, of course, it's not whack. It's Prince Paul.
But I mean, there's so many avenues for hip hop artists to make money these days. You know, it just shows you like route one isn't always necessarily the way to go. So, you know, definitely, I think out of all the interviews, that was probably one of the ones that was like, what? Really? You done that? You know, it was just, definitely took me by surprise, man. And subsequently, since we've done the interview, he's been quite like, you know, he's been quite accessible on the Instagram. You know, he's been, you know, liking a lot of our stuff and keeping an eye on what we put out. So, you know, it's good to see that we've kind of made a friend off the back of that one. So definitely a relationship we would like to continue. Yeah. You know, and sometimes that's the beautiful thing about this social media. It does bring you closer to some of your hip hop heroes, you know? So it's pretty cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll get on. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And of course, we'll get on to Lewis Parker later.
Okay. So after that, we went into King Kashmir. Obviously, one half of the Strange You with Dr. Zygo, who I had on the Connoisseurs of Hip Hop show like years ago. But
that
conversation was really
those guys are so funny.
Yeah.
That's what doesn't come across on the record or on any of their records. Because, I mean, okay, their lyrics are way out there. His lyrics are way out there, but and Zygo's production is way out there. But then you don't realize that when you chat to them in real life, they're like complete pranksters and like cracking jokes left, right, and center all the time.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's what sets them apart, really. That's why they're so different.
Yeah. And obviously with this interview, getting the time to really flesh out his whole career and what he's done and what he's accomplished, man, that guy's got such a catalogue already. And he almost feels like he's just got so much more to come as well, you know? And that's a real underground legend in this country, man. And just looking at the numbers.
He's really dope, man. He's always been dope.
Yeah. And looking at the numbers, obviously the people that have viewed that interview shows that there was definitely a lot of interest in hearing what King Kashmir had to say, because he doesn't do many interviews. So and we've been fortunate enough to interview him twice. So that was pretty cool.
And those guys are high focused now, right? So
yeah, but he's still indie, so he still does what he wants. But he's got his situation with high focus as well.
Yeah, it's really good that they do that. You know.
Yeah.
They just let people. They don't intervene.
Yeah.
They just let the artists do their thing.
And I guess and I think that's the modern way to run a label these days. You know, give artists the freedom to do them. You know. So hopefully he's got a great agreement there. And then interview number 4 was the big one for us. That was Lewis Parker.
Yeah. Finally got it in, man.
Yeah.
And in 2 sessions as well.
Yes.
There were all kinds of technical mishaps and stuff.
Definitely through editing this season of head-to-head interviews, I've probably grown as an editor, whilst the series has progressed, like if you see the very first interview, you could probably see the timestamp in the corner. So I had to figure out how to get rid of that. And then obviously as things progressed, like especially with that Lewis Parker interview being over 2 separate different sessions, clocking in at like over 2 hours long, all in, you know, and having to edit out a lot, because there was a lot of technical difficulties, man. I don't know what was happening with his Wi-Fi, but there was a lot of times where he'd be talking and it would just cut out. So there was unfortunately there's like chunks of that interview missing, but hopefully it's been edited to the point that it's fully coherent regardless, you know.
Well, yeah, I think it stands at like 1:40, so you know that's plenty.
yeah. But that's another one. That's another one that was quite popular with like some of the purists, because we don't really get. I don't think, to my knowledge, I don't think an interview with Lewis Parker at that length even exists until now. You know, so you know, and you've got a lot of insight into his process, man. Of, you know, because that's a man that's so passionate about like the outboard. If you ever see his studio, he's got so much outboard.
Yeah, like, with the 3 samplers. I don't actually. We should have asked him about that. Like, why, or how can you use 3 samplers together? I don't even get. Surely one is fine and does everything you would need. Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe each one's got a particular sound or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go, man. That man's a scientist, man. You can see. You can see. To take one look at his studio, and you can see that man is a scientist when it comes to putting those beats together. And I think that's the fascinating thing when you see certain producers. You know, you can hear it in the beat. It's like that. You've got all that vintage gear. You know, you can hear how he's like the way he's chopped up the samples. You know, and I don't know how to describe it, man. It kind of gives his beats that like timeless feel. You know, I don't think I've ever heard a Lewis Parker beat and said, man, that's dated. You know, it's like they kind of age really well.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
I mean, his drums is the thing. It's a bit like Primo or someone. You just know instantly that it's Lewis Parker. You know, which is an amazing feat because, you know, breaks are there for everybody to take. You know, he has a way of flipping them and through the boards that he's got and stuff. You know it's him straight away.
See, and to me that marks a great producer, man. Like they can, you know, everybody's got the same ideas, everybody's got the same production equipment, but if certain guys just know how to like put it together, man, in a way that you're just like, wow, like consistently, and then does it again, you know? And can tell, and he definitely takes his time. Like I think this last album he put out probably took about 5 years to put together.
Right.
Know? And man.
Yeah, and they finally got tired of waiting, right? So get it out there. Even though they're not printing vinyl right now or something. People need to hear it, right?
What would you say is the most fascinating thing you learned about him in that interview, listening to it?
Oof, I don't know. Oh, you're putting me on the spot now, man. I don't know, man.
One thing that stood out to you, you'd say? Maybe his time in America or, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that was quite interesting how, you know, he did the thing with Ghostface, of course. And that's often seen as like, you know, well, by the guys in the US, that's probably like the pinnacle of his career. But probably not for him.
Yeah.
And I think maybe he was a bit underappreciated in the US.
Yeah.
Like they didn't really know who he was, or you know.
Yeah, I think he has to go with the mentality. Like you were saying that even though he was a name in the States, in the UK, you know, you kind of got to go on that, like that humble, like nobody knows me over here, so I've got to prove myself all over again, you know. And
well, yeah, he did that album with John Robinson, which is pretty dope as well.
Yeah, and that led me to go on a bit of a deep dive with John Robinson and get to know some of his older stuff as well, man. And the guy's one of like the unsung MCs in hip hop, man. I was like someone I never really heard of before. But then when I went back through stuff, just found
Science of Life, all that stuff.
So many
on
great
Bobbito's Wonderland Records, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You realise how, because MF Doom started on that as well. And
yeah.
You realise kind of how important they were.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, man. And obviously did his Czar.
We're just doing it for love as well, I reckon.
Yeah. Did his King Ghidorah, I think was the project that he did
King
on
Ghidorah.
that. King Ghidorah, yeah. That was sick, man. And then I think like the mid-season finale for us before the Christmas break was episode 5 with Terry Walker.
Yeah, which I was just checking out. Yeah, man, she's done some amazing stuff.
Yeah,
and she's, you know, you can tell she's a really sound girl. You know, the way she chats. And,
yeah, very passionate about the music. You know, and again, that was a bit of a discovery for me. I wasn't aware that she'd done a full album with Salam Remy as well. The Champagne Flutes album, you know. So
yeah, I just checked it out actually. Yeah, I thought, what? Salam Remy? Ooh.
I know.
To be honest, I actually prefer the Joe Buddha stuff.
Yeah. But that just goes to show you, man. She gets some big high-profile hip-hop producers behind her as well.
There were a couple of bangers still.
Yeah.
And what was I gonna say? Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting to see her in her catalogue so much hip hop stuff. It seems she's kind of started very solely, and she's sort of going in the direction of hip hop more and more.
Yeah, I definitely had one of the first Most Def features as well from a UK artist. You know, incredible as well, man. But off the back of that, actually, and something I've not really revealed, I managed to have a brief conversation with Salam Remy because I was fingers crossed. I was trying to get an interview with him as a season finale, but I think it's something we had to postpone until I think mid to late spring. So that could be something for season 3. Which would be like massive for us, you know, to interview Salam Remy. So, but God, man, you know, but because Terry, for me, man, it was like when I was doing my research and putting the interview questions together, I think the direction I originally wanted to go in was try and as hip hop as possible with her. But I think naturally we just, you know.
Yeah, she probably knew that.
Yeah, she kept it soulful, and you know, and she's had like a really incredible career. And again, there's another big album. She's working with Children of Zeus at the moment for her next project, so it's very exciting to see where that goes when that comes out as well.
Yeah, and her voice as well, man. It's so dope. She made me. Yeah, there were, you know, moments where I thought, oh, there's a hint of Macy Gray in there. Like she got that gruffness, but then she's British as well, you know. And no, really, and some of the like, just the way she sings is just so beautiful. But she can, you know, she could just do hooks on hip hop songs, you know, and do so much dope stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know any hip hopper who wouldn't want her on a hook.
Yeah. And in fact, she agreed to do some stuff with Freshers, so looking forward to that on the next project as well, man.
Yeah, that's it.
So, you know, but following that, we came back in the new year with interview with Tommy Evans. Someone that somehow never managed to connect with up until now. You know,
that one kind of surprised me actually.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I've got Tommy Evans records and stuff. That Ophelia one is it's a total classic.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I mean, it was a surprise just to see that he's still making music.
Yeah. And the story of him, you know, with Nana Cherry as well was a quite an interesting story as well. Just to have her as a feature on one of his albums. But his recent work rate is very admirable, man.
Yeah. 3 albums in a year. Yeah. Crazy.
And funnily enough, actually, I had a brief conversation with him today, and there is a bonus half an hour interview with Tommy Evans, which didn't make the cut. Because if you notice, that interview was nearly 2 hours long as well. And it was just like, I said to him, look, we'll do this as bonus. Because so there's an extra interview where we actually discuss the 3 albums in depth, which should be out, if this one's out on Monday. So the following week, you guys are going to get a bonus clip with Tommy Evans discussing the 3 albums that he put out last year, man, which was just, all 3 of them were just dope. And really incredible work rate, you know. So definitely pick him up.
Yeah, keeping it. He hasn't lost it, you know. And those albums as well. Yeah, the content, the lyrical content, you know, is really good as well, man. It took me a little while to get into them, just because, you know, because of the music. But you know, yeah, definitely check it out because it is dope. Of course it is. Tommy Evans is an incredibly conscious guy, and he's got, I don't know, it comes across so well in that interview. I won't be able to even get it across now, but he's such an interesting guy. So artistic.
Yeah, and I love the fact that he definitely has a intentional focus on putting over young artists with his releases as well, man, and artists necessarily.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, the name dropping.
Incredible.
That's why I love it so long, man. There was like a name drop per minute. I have to go back and count the name drops. Because you'll probably get in the Guinness Book of World Records for that.
Name drop counter in the corner of that was. Yeah, Tommy's a legend, man. And I'm happy we definitely got a chance to sit down and talk to him, you know. And then we followed that up with the next one, which was episode 7, K9. Yeah, very dope guy, man.
That was interesting, man, because he seems like such a nice dude in that interview. But when I hear him on track, he seems like a scary dude, you know? And even though maybe if you see him in the flesh, you think, you know, like this guy, you know, is probably like, you know, up to no good or something. But no, he's totally the opposite. A really sweet guy, and well, maybe not sweet, maybe that's the wrong word, but like accessible and you know, just
And he's definitely one of the unsung heroes, man, of the live scene, man. His live show is like dope, like a lot of energy, consistently good. You know, he's usually, Black Twang usually takes him on tour whenever he's on tour as well. You know, so he's definitely put the years in, man. And for me, it's like it's kind of overdue, that really big breakout moment. But hopefully, with this upcoming release, that will happen. You know.
Yeah, I mean, he's a dope producer as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've just been working with him and stuff, but yeah, definitely a lot more to come from him for sure.
Yeah, and then which I didn't know until we had the interview, his lucky number, but episode number 8 was with the legendary Kentish Towner Mr. Kishkash as well. Yeah, the sneaker collector.
I was scared of that interview, just looking at how long it lasted. Put it off for a few days. But yeah, when I finally saw it, I was like, wow, that was such an interesting interview.
The time flies by. It's crazy because he just has so many layers to this man. Now that interview could have literally gone on for another hour. like, because there was
Yeah.
so many things he didn't talk about, you know. But it's just what fascinated me the most, which I didn't see coming in that interview, was how involved he was in the early days of UK hip hop.
Yeah.
You know, I was just like, wow, you kind of need this guy.
And it seemed like Aylesbury was like this, like one of the most important places in hip hop in the UK back then. You know, and why not? You know, if you've got a crew, I guess anywhere where a crew is kind of from, they can make it into something.
Yeah. You know, and it's just his knowledge of not even his knowledge of trainers. I don't think anybody can really go toe to toe with him on the knowledge of trainer history, sneaker culture in the UK. I was just fascinated the fact that sneaker culture started from us wanting to be like tennis players. You know, like tennis players were the stars in the 70s. Just hearing that kind of just blew my mind. You know, because I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
But hearing its whole evolution up until today.
Yeah, the casual.
Yeah. And then him talking about the future of trainers.
You've got things like the Gazelles and the Puma suedes and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, been there since the start.
Yeah, so many iconic hip hop trainers, man. It's just, and yeah, you know, it's such a fascinating interview, man, because especially he's probably the only person that I interviewed, besides Sarah Love, who I guess doesn't actually make music, you know. So it's just like, obviously I had to readjust the angle in which I approached the interview. But
but he was such a big contributor all the time. I mean, and I told you that I was amazed that he financed that Gutter Snipes project.
Yeah.
Cell 1.
Yeah.
You know, which is one of my most prized vinyls.
Yeah, that album I need to check out as well, man. And
it's incredible, yeah.
Yeah,
it'll be up on YouTube, I'm sure you can check it.
Yeah, I'd have to get that.
But yeah, and I don't know why it seems like they only did that. Really, they did. They did an album before that, but then that was like the Trials of Life. Yeah, and don't know if they did anything since that. I had to go check that out.
Yeah, I think there's probably going to be like a whole list. Maybe somebody will take the time to go through it, man. But the list of great UK hip hop artists that only put out one project. You know, there's probably a bunch of them. I think like Fallacy comes to mind. You know, it's just like Skinny Man comes to mind. You know, so many artists that are like legends that only put out the one project and that was it. You know, it's just
but then they've done so many features and stuff. You know, that they don't even need to.
It's truly fascinating, man. And then after that, one of the most fascinating interviews as well was the Fly Hooligan. That interview for episode 9. What do you think of that?
He was one I didn't know much about, so you know. But then, you know, seeing who he's hooked up with and
it's like the first UK artist to work with Griselda. But he's kind of had 2 careers because he started out as an artist called Iron Braids, and then like literally
that was really interesting actually, how he changed his name to kind of start over again. Which makes a lot of sense actually. Kind of gives you a new lease of life almost, especially if you've had a hiatus or something. You know. It's something I've been considering as well actually. Maybe one day I might switch it up as well. You know, and it's almost like it's an alter ego almost sometimes. Your moniker.
Yeah, it's an example of someone pulling it off successfully as well, man. Like literally changing their name and just taking their career to another level off the back of that, you know. So, and him being
it's like a different person. Totally,
But I mean, obviously being a producer, what do you think about his thoughts on like drumless hip hop?
Yeah, actually thought of doing that myself, like just as a side project, just as a little experiment. But you know, I mean, it's fine. It's fine as an experiment, and I think it might even open up hip hop to maybe more universal audience. You know, people who don't like that snap of the drum all the time. Because there are, you know, if you take away the drums, a lot of the times you're just left with kind of beautiful harmonies, or a dope bass line, and you know some lyrics with good content usually. So you know what's not to like. So I'm all for it, but I would consider it an experiment. You know.
Interesting. Yeah, man. So yeah, again, that was a pretty dope interview, man. And then as the season finale, we closed it with DJ Sarah Love. Was that one you expected, or did that kind of take you by surprise that we?
Well, a little bit, yeah. And it was interesting to see, you know, all the shows she's done and stuff. Well, how she got into it, you know, working at Deal Real and stuff like that. I never knew that. You know, that's mad.
Yeah.
And I just kind of tried to imagine that her kind of just completely surrounded by, well, kind of a bit sort of outnumbered.
Yeah, it's male-dominated
scene, by guys all over the place, you know. But it's a breath of fresh air, you know, to have women in hip hop, really.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah.
One thing I did like in this series, man, was like, I don't know if you noticed it, but there was like a couple of like underlying themes that were sprinkled in throughout some of the episodes, where like the amount of people that mentioned Deal Real Records, the amount of people that mentioned Kung Fu events as well, and to have Sarah Love as
she was the resident,
one of the founders of Kung Fu, like kind of bring it all together right at the end, you know.
Kung Fu was like the hip hop night.
Yeah.
That, you know, that was the first one I really went to. You know, I guess I kind of got on the scene fairly late, really. You know, when was that? Like 2000 or something.
Yeah. And it's interesting. We were probably at the same shows because I was regular at Kung Fu at the time.
Yeah, underage. Yeah, with the fake ID. So I was 16 then, right? So.
Yeah. So, you know, so it was a nice note to end on, man. And she's someone that's had, like, she doesn't really get her flowers like she should, you know, for the pioneering stuff that she's done as a female DJ, being the first ever female DJ nominated for a MOBO, you know, having to lose out to Tim Westwood for 2 years in a row. But just being there, you know, just breaking that ground.
Yeah.
So she's done something
crazy. And then touring internationally.
Yeah. You know, so
Thailand and all that. You know, it's amazing.
So man, it's one of the last great world tourers, man. I don't know if we'll, as hip hop artists, we will ever get to tour like that again. You know, literally proper world tours with all these things in place.
That's one thing that like really that she mentioned in the interview. She was like, "That's never gonna happen again."
Yeah.
I was like, "Don't say that." Don't say that, because I mean, but it's absolutely true. I mean, even if it did get back to those sort of levels, it wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, but there's always hope. I think hip hop is still massive.
Yeah.
And there's always resurgences. It's kind of like waves, peaks and troughs, blah, 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 all that kind of thing.
Yeah. But I mean, overall, man, as a season, very happy with it. And I think, you know, it's an interesting one because I think, like, for the next season, I definitely want to look to bring up the production value of the, you know, because obviously with the Zoom, sometimes, you know, if the lighting's not really professional, or, you know, or maybe do some of them face to face. But then obviously that international ones now, that's not going to be possible. So it's just really looking at ways we can, you know, take it up a notch for the season 3. But overall, man, I think just consistent 2 seasons so far.
That's dope, man. It's really good.
Insightful, you know, and it's like, just conditioning people to check out these long form interviews.
Yeah, you're, you know, it's a service to the hip hop community, man. That's what it is. That's how I see it.
Try to do, man. But so that's
documenting the culture.
Yeah. That's just important, man. So so that's me and Tom's recap of season 2 of the Connoisseurs of Hip Hop presents the head-to-head interview series. Definitely take this time to thank everybody that checked it out, listened to, and continues to support the movement, support the channel, support everything we do, support the book, support our podcast, you know, and the album reviews and everything that we do. And is there anything else you want to say about this, Tom?
No, just check it all out, and you know, and comment, get back to us, you know, interact. We're all ears.
So if there's anyone in particular that you'd want us to interview for season 3, man, you know, there's a whole bunch of legendary characters in the UK hip hop scene that you may not have heard, you know, in long form interviews before. And you know, everybody's more or less accessible these days, so you know, we can try and make that happen, man. So again, officially, man, thank you guys for checking us out and all your continued support, and we'll catch you for season 3.
Oh yeah, do we need to just let people know how they can contact us?
You can contact us at Connoisseurs OHH on Twitter and Connoisseurs of Hip Hop on Instagram. What's the website, Tom?
ConnoisseursOHH.com.
And obviously the bunch of stuff where you can get you can check out the older shows on the Mixcloud on mixcloud.com/SKANDOUZ. And definitely check out the book, check out the merch, and all the stuff we've got coming as well. So hip hop world, until next time, I've been SKANDOUZ, the hip hop original, alongside DJ
Tom Foolery Beats.
Peace.